Hi everybody! Hello! Welcome to So You Want to Be a Fursuit Dancer, a totally original title. I am Slade the Aqua Dragon. I've been dancing for about 11 years.
And I'm Kai, known as That Crazy Canine, and I've been dancing now, since 2013 January. So it's about almost 6 years.
I'm Addie Boyo. I don't know how long I've been dancing. Hi.
Awesome. Thank you for coming. We're going to have a little Q&A panel, little Q&A section at the end of like some other things that we're doing. Now that we're speaking of that, let's actually talk about what we're going to be looking at during this panel. So I want to talk about like why you should even care about being here. I want to also go over the abbreviated history of dancing in the furry fandom, some real basics where we don't have time to get into everything. So we get some advice from some guest furry dancers that will be talking to you through video. And also we'll have the Q&A at the end. Yay! First, hi. Who am I? I want to tell you why I'm even qualified to be talking to you guys about this. So, hi, I'm Slade. Let me tell you how I even became a dancer. Behold, this is me, obviously. This is not an image I stole from Google. When I discovered furry dancing, I was a middle schooler. I just had found out I was a furry. I was a huge Warrior Cats kid, and I was huge on the YouTube scene, which is how I found furries. Slade didn't exist. I had different personas, like that beautiful, beautiful fox right there. It's gorgeous. I drew that in middle school. So yeah, YouTube's fault. I found furries, I flipped, and then I found fursuit dancing. And my world kind of changed forever. I wanted to be a fursuit dancer. And that's why I was encouraged to make my own fursuit. I dived into that. I had lists and lists of random just furries dancing. And eventually, like, I finally made my suit. It wasn't beautiful. I didn't care. I was just like, I'm not holding back anymore. And I did like that crazy thing, that the middle school dance where I just danced my heart out. And like people were like, whoa, look at you go. It was not pretty, but I was just going at it. And I went, wow, I want to do this. Yeah. So now that we've gone over that, it kind of remained a hobby for me. Dancing isn't something I've taken like too seriously, mainly because college and all that good stuff. But how I would keep it fresh in my mind is I would record videos of myself and I would post them to YouTube. And I have a whole list of like 30 plus videos of me dancing. And it was just a great way to archive and see my progress. And then in college, I joined a dance company, and now that I'm free of college, I want to find like a group and continue and get better. So why do I qualify? I know you just heard my short little backstory, but why? And I think that's because I found fursuit dancing as a hobby, and I think a lot of younger furs find dancing in videos, and they look up to all these different fursuit dancers, and they see them breaking their heart out, but they don't quite know where to go from that. And I kind of wanted to make this panel so furs know how to take the first steps towards dancing. It's all about relating to the kids. Also, I've competed in lots of dance competitions and floor wars, and I've judged both of those as well. So this panel is important because the fandom is ginormous, and dancing is a very big part of it, I feel. From when it first emerged to now, dance competitions, floor wars, those are huge main events, and they draw huge crowds. And more people want to get into these areas and want to learn how to get into it. So I think that's really important, and I think a panel like this existing is the great way to go. Also, a lot of people can't afford lessons, including me, and they want to find out how they can start by themselves. All right, so let's look at a brief history of fursuit dancing. The first dance competition was at a furry convention. Oh my God, was held at Furry Week in Atlanta in 2008, and now almost every convention has a dance comp. The last For One crew started the first Floor Wars in 2012. This was at Anthrocon, and all of the competitors were out of suit. Midwest Fur Fest 2012 was the first Floor Wars to have in suit and out of suit. So, fursuit dance competitions. This video right here is of a video of the first ever dance comp winner. So I thought that was really cool to look at. Just gotta load that boy up with our beautiful internet. Is it working up there?
Okay, look at the race. For our last act is Boston. Boston, could you not
They're running, they're doing their best.
You have to hit escape on the top, you're running.
Oh!
You have to hit escape and then blow the lead to the gym. Yeah, because it's not, there you go.
Hey!
Yes! Fox Club, yes!
Boston, let me ask you a question. Are you ready?
This is Spike. Who was this? No, it was. I lied. I'm sorry.
Let's do it.
Look at his glasses!
Oh yeah! Oh yeah! It's the gold stick! That is Fox Club's signature move! Can I say this guy is amazing?
I like how you can't see anything in the lights. And I like how it cuts. Hey. And then this guy, like, he was the last performance, and then he won the whole thing. And so we don't have to watch the announcement parts, but that's what the first winner looked like. Ah! Just zoom back down. All right, so that's the first ever winner. The roster was pretty small, but it had a variation of styles. If you want to look it up, it's called Spike Goes to FWA 2008, and then it's in different parts, and you can actually watch the whole competition on there. It's actually really interesting because you could tell when you're watching, because I watched through all of them, that they had a sense of community for the dancers already. Every dancer would come out, especially the cameraman, but you'd hear all these other people going, oh, that's Fluffy. Oh, Fluffy's so good at drops. People would get so excited and be like, yeah! And I'm like, that shows that there was obviously a want for these competitions when they originally came out. Dance competitions now are constructed pretty similarly. The usual requirements are at least a full partial. So you need hands, feet, tail, and head, in case you didn't know that. And usually you're required to cover all skin. Some smaller conventions bend this rule a bit, like here. And other than that, those are pretty similar. Prelims. So prelims are a way for us to see the talent and determine, hey, this is a good fit for the competition. Usually there are cuts, but once again, smaller conventions don't have that. We do that because we want to make sure we have the best show the best product in the end for a show.
In perspective, Anthrocon had 133 people, and they could only keep like 22. So it's a lot to go through.
I've been cut so many times.
MFF, I think, had 150 people.
It's crazy.
So, and only 25 people got in. So,
Yeah. And the reason we have to cut is because we have such a limited time.
Yeah.
To present that. Imagine if we had to have that many. Because routines are 2 minutes long, standard, across most competitions. So imagine 150 people times 2.
Can you do the math on that?
That's a really long event. So that's the main reason prelims exist, is to reduce that and provide a fantastic show in the end. Judging, I'm not going to go too much into that because we have a lot of our guests talk in depth about it. But judging usually are people who are experienced both in and outside of the furry convention. We've got, MFF is really good at getting guests that are like from local dancing scenes, and they usually have a list of items that they're looking for. They're looking for how you use your space, for your levels, all that kind of stuff. And we use that to determine, is this dance the best well-rounded and the best performed, and kind of stuff. And that's how we can determine placing. And speaking of placements, we have first, second, and third, and then the rest are technically ranked numberly, but we don't really announce that.
Some people do honors, like, oh, here,
Yeah.
Andrew got an honor because of this, because they did really well on this. And so, yeah, they do that. Some competitions do, so.
Yeah. So next, let's talk about Floor Wars really quick. I got 2 videos, so this is going to be fun.
Floor Wars is very hyped.
It's like,
It's different. There's Fursuit, like dance competition, there's Floor Wars, but Floor Wars, you definitely recommend going to one of those.
they are extremely competitive.
Yeah, very competitive.
They're so fun.
It's so fired up. And
Very fire, very much fire.
Wow, fire. Oh, I did have everything up already. We're just going to watch them here. So this was the video they posted to get hype for their first ever Floor Wars. And it just delights me, especially since there's no Fursuit dancing in this event.
Bring me back.
I remember that code.
Yeah.
I think I saw this video when I was really young. I was like, ugh. It's actually really impressive and soon.
That's digigrade, folks.
Yeah.
So.
The dragon's doing what he can, and I appreciate it. Alright, yeah. Oh my god, this is playing.
oh no! Remix.
So this is the last round of the first ever Floor Wars. So on this side we have Ray Ray, and this side we have Toei. So black shirt Toei, white shirt Ray Ray. Turn it up a little. Yeah. It's a brand new event. It's insane. Or people are like me in there sometimes. Ray won the white shirt guy.
Oh, yeah. It's quite, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Alright, yay, we finished the YouTube video. So let's talk a little bit about Floor Wars. So, saw that that's how they ran it. It's not too different these days. I'd say the biggest difference is that there's 2 rounds instead of 3, and I think a lot of fursuit dancers really appreciate that. So what you saw there is the most common version of Floor Wars, which is one person versus another one person, and they duke it out. They both get about 30 seconds per song. So one goes, the other goes, new song starts, and it repeats one more time. And then usually judges decide who wins by pointing at which side they thought did better. That one, that kind of stuff. Sometimes there's a tie. That means they can't decide. Usually if all the judges agree on a tie, or it leans, like there's a tie, one pointing that way, one pointing that way, the round will go one more time. And they can't say tie again. This can become a problem if there's an even number of coaches, though, of the judges.
Oh, yeah.
You've seen that happen a lot. The next part I want to talk about is teams. That's more of a newer kind of Floor Wars, and it's kind of being tested out in the bigger conventions. And I'm still confused on what MFF's new team policy is. They're like 3 to 5 people per team. I'm like, how are you going to divvy that up? But teams typically are 2 people. And there is usually still going to be separated between fursuiters and non-suiters. So the teams will go up against each other in their designated fursuit versus non-suit. And then instead of one person dancing 2 times, it's each of them takes turns, which can be better and help the dancer put more of themselves forward in those 30 seconds instead of having to worry about reserving their energy. But Floor Wars is also very exhausting because if you continue on, you keep going, oh, I get so tired.
It's tiring.
Oh, it's really hard to put yourself out there, but it's fun. You guys have anything else to say of Floor Wars?
I'd say you covered pretty much all of that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I don't know what to add, so yeah.
Yeah, it's very, very cool.
But it's very, very fun. I highly recommend it. Yeah, as you see, that's not always about the fursuit. It's also could be you. So it's just, yeah.
Got strokes, Daddy.
Strokes. It's a good time.
So let's talk about some really simple basics.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be going into like, oh, this is what tutting is, and this is what, because that will go on forever.
Yeah.
But see, these are some of the things that are really looked into for setting up a routine or something you want to showcase in a Floor Wars round. Levels, big thing. Yes, it's really cool. You can do all these arm movements and all of that, but are you getting on the floor? Are you doing footwork? Levels, quite physically.
Up, down, up, down.
Up, down.
Yeah.
But not just up, down. We actually want to go in and out.
Yes.
So that's using space. We want to see your body use space, and we want to see you physically go around your dancing area. I don't want to really see someone standing in the middle going and doing really cool stuff, but I'm like, you're just standing there, buddy.
Use the floor.
Use the floor. Another thing, which is something I've been trying to take in consideration lately, is the idea of being weighted. Dancers do this, like, hey, I'm right-handed. I'm very guilty of this, by the way. I use my right hand to make motions very often, and I go boom, and then I use my left hand as a follow-up. But that makes me right-weighted. So I'm trying to look into doing more, let's use this side of the body as well. But that also goes with upper and lower body. You're using a lot of upper stuff. Let's do some more footwork. Let's do some more stomps and stuff like that.
And that leads to balance.
And that leads to balance. Balance is similar. You want to balance out your body, what you're using around, and then also there's legitimate balance. That's something you want to practice more. Suits can make that tricky.
Oh, yes.
You want to learn your suit, especially if you have digi. You have to practice balance a lot. Which also relates to endurance. Fursuits will kill your endurance.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man.
You will wear out really quick. When you're practicing, make sure you have plenty of water. I always do this, especially since I'm not the most in shape person. I need to practice more, actually. I always have a handler when I'm doing floor wars or dance comp who will always, like, once I get off the floor, they're like, water.
Yes, water
Take
number
it.
one.
And my inhaler if I need it, stuff like that, because I have asthma, exercise-induced asthma. So,
yeah, one thing I want to add really quick too is breathing techniques too.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are like me, for example, a while back, I've noticed I was like out of breath. I could not breathe. So you kind of have to make sure you also pay attention to that because it really does make a difference of like your energy actually. So more than you think. But anyways, because like some people just pop after, like, oh my god, like I think because you just didn't breathe. Take a deep breath in there sometimes. So that's a little thing I give to people, a little tip. So
I'm guilty of that. And then, we were already emphasizing practice.
yes.
And then something huge, I'm really guilty of all this. I'm not gonna lie here. I'm still learning and I'm still improving myself, but knowing your physical limits. I injure myself constantly. I will get multiple rolled ankles and sprained stuff, and I've done everything under the sun. But that, learning your physical limits is important. And I would say if you want to make those stronger, once again, practice. Just if you're like, I really want to do this cool move, but it's not landing great. If you are too close to a convention, just trust it, don't do it. Take your time and learn these moves. All right, so with that, let's hear some from some experienced first. Yay! All right, I have it on here. There it is. Hush now. So we're about to hear some people give us some true wisdom here. We want to make sure this is probably turned up more because talking. All right, thank you.
Hey Dance First, Ronnie here. I've been asked by Slade to answer a couple quick questions for the Dance First panel. So basically, I've been dancing in the fandom for about 11 years, pretty much the same time that I've been in the fandom. So since 2008, 11 years, going on 12 now. I'm primarily a b-boy, but I also do other styles such as locking, crumping, a little bit of hip-hop choreography, and just touched a couple of things over the years. And honestly, being in the fandom has helped me so much with it.
Hello, my name is Jamaj Coyote. I've been in the fandom for 6 years. I've been dancing for 8 years, and I've been dancing in the fandom for 5 years now.
Hi, my name is Red. I have been in this fur community now for about 9 years. I have been dancing since 2016, so about 4 years now. I didn't actually make my first dance competition until late 2017.
So one of the biggest things that has changed since I started dancing in the fandom was I realized that, for me, there's no real point trying to follow the trend, trying to follow what everyone's doing out there in the fandom, just doing what's hot or doing what's cool, because at the end of the day, I want to be able to be comfortable with how I move and, the kind of styles that I do. Not everyone in the fandom, for example, can be a b-boy, but for me, b-boying is my personal favorite style, and that's what I started with, that's what I grew to love, and that's what I basically mastered in terms of that being my style. So, anyone out there that's looking to find their own style, don't just look at what's popular or what everyone else is doing, but look at, things that you might feel represent your style, your character the best. And, try something new. You never know what you might actually find that you like until you try something new.
One of the biggest changes since I started dancing in the fandom was that I started to think more about my whole body silhouette and the shapes that I make. So a lot can get lost in this inner area of the body because your fur colors may match your full body suit, so you tend to lose some of the details when they blend together like that. So I started making myself bigger and making my moves more sweeping to kind of break up this whole shape here that I'm making.
One of the biggest changes that has happened to me since I've started dancing in this fandom has been, the overall friendship and experience. I've met people from China, from Europe, from Tokyo, all over the place, and they all have encouraged me to grow further from where I was then and now.
Dancers that are first starting out, new dancers, both for fursuit and non-suit, I definitely want to say, when you're starting out, try not to compare yourself to others. It's so easy to do that, and it's a mistake that everyone, even pros, make that mistake. Trying to compare yourself to someone that's been dancing for 5 years or 10 years or even more than that. And it gets really easy to become discouraged if you're always trying to be the best right away, or if you're trying to learn a new move overnight that takes other people, weeks or months, even years sometimes to perfect. Try and basically remember that you're doing it because you want to express yourself and you want to have fun, right? You're not doing it because you want to be the best of the best and you want to completely own everyone in the competition, right? That's just one element. But if you're just starting out, if you're a new dancer, whether you're a fursuiter or a non-fursuiter, just focus on what, makes your dance unique, what style you can bring, what new creativity that you can bring, and obviously focus on having fun.
One piece of advice I would have is to hone in on one dance style that you really like and study its foundations and terminology. YouTube is amazing for this, but I also recommend finding classes or people near where you live so you can work on dance with them and get assistance and instruction. Any dance style that you really love, pick that up. Contemporary, if you love jazz or Latin, we'd love to see more of that in the fandom. But if you love popping and animation and everything, heck yes, work that too.
Some advice I would give new aspiring dancers would be learn the foundation. It's the base element that will allow you to take the movement and morph it into what you would like. Without that, without a foundation, without the base, there's nothing to stand on. And one other thing is practice and stretch. It's all about the long game. If you don't stretch now, you're gonna hurt yourself further down the line or hurt yourself in that performance. So it's always a good idea to practice and stretch.
Challenges that people have when they're dancing in fursuit. So aside from the physical challenges, you can't move as well, you can't see as well, and generally takes a lot more stamina and energy to dance in a fursuit versus out of suit. One of the biggest things I find that people often forget is that your fursuit itself has its own style, it has its own expression. And what I mean by this is it's the aesthetic that your fursuit creates, whether you have a full suit, whether you have a partial and you're wearing a costume or just regular clothing with it. You gotta remember that everyone's fursuit also adds to that element of aesthetic that you present when you dance. So, people often underutilize that when they do any sort of performance. They don't actually consider their fursuit as being part of the performance. It's almost like it's just a piece of clothing that you wear, where it's not really adding to your dance. But fursuits and characters as a whole, they add so much more than what we usually would be if we were dancing just out of suit. So I think that the biggest challenge for people is really being able to represent their character and just being able to express a little bit more using that character when they're dancing in fursuit. So if you're a happy, bouncy, toony character, be happy, bouncy, and toony when you dance, right? You can find dance styles that do that, music that fits that kind of theme, any combination of the above. And then on the flip side, if you're a super dark, serious, raw, hardcore character, find some raw hardcore songs, just learn how to crump, just give some chesties out there, that's how you gotta do it. So, definitely underutilizing character is one of the biggest things that I find fursuiters find challenges with in the fandom. Alright.
Some of the challenges are that you have to work hard in suit to make sure that your movements translate well. The fur can mask a lot, so you have to make yourself do bigger, more exaggerated motions so that you don't look so that. But because you're working harder, you get hotter faster. You're already hot because you're in this big fursuit, but you're going to have it faster because you're moving around. And then some of your muscle memory from dancing non-suit can conflict with what you try to do in suit. So if you have certain angles, you'll end up looping yourself on accident or hitting your ears. There's a lot of spatial stuff you can't do as much in a suit, or you can do more.
Some of the challenges that I have experienced when dancing in suit have been the overall energy and my movement. So when you're fursuit dancing, you have to really accentuate your movement even further, and that takes a lot more energy. It's a whole different feeling dancing in suit when out. So be sure to understand both aspects from both realms and cohese it together, unify it. Because if you can do that, if you can understand that, then it'll be a lot smoother for you when creating choreography or dancing.
Well, there's a lot of things that dancers, I think, could not do when they make routines for a competition. For example, one thing for sure is stop biting other people's styles. Not everyone can be, not everyone can be strobes. Not everyone can be, the best mocker in the world. Not everyone can, copy, that dude that does the backflip all the time. Honestly, just find your own style. There's so many different ways of expressing yourself through dance. There's so many different styles that can help you channel your energy, your emotion, your character into movement. And I think a lot of people, again, like I said earlier, they only focus on what's cool, what's popular, what'll make the crowd scream and cheer. And, that's not what dance is about, The fact that we put it on a stage or on a dance floor for everyone to see, that's performance. But in terms of what dance is about, it's about you, what you feel, what you want to express, what really makes you speak in terms of your body language and the movements that you do, right? Dance is communication without using any words, without using any sounds. So, I think people need to focus less on trying to, be the crowd pleaser or trying to, just do things for the sake of the crowd or looking cool, and just do more of what makes them unique. Everyone's got something special, everyone's got creativity, everyone's got uniqueness, so, use some more of that in your performances for sure. And then another thing that I think people need to focus on for dance competitions is they need to remember that, when you're practicing at home in your fursuit or even out of fursuit, that there's a lot of stuff that doesn't work when you go into your fursuit. There's people that do practice really hard in fursuit, and these people are probably a lot more prepared, but I've also seen a lot of others that they're not prepared whatsoever. So make sure that when you're practicing for a dance competition that you're remembering that you're basically covering yourself in a massive pile of carpet that looks really cute or really scary, and you're unable to breathe, you're unable to see because you're probably going to have flashing lights in your face all the time, and the floor that you're dancing on, at home or in the studio is probably different than what you're going to be facing at the dance competition stage. So, you just got to take all of these things into account and prepare, and also have a backup plan if possible.
Biggest thing for me, I would say, is to give yourself constraints. So you can give yourself a constraint through style choice, theming of your performance, or creating a story, using an emotion, whatever makes sense with the song you chose. Constraints will allow you to maintain cohesion throughout your performance and really strengthen what you're able to do. And it also gives you more variety and options. Because if you create like a character, then you're able to pull from all the things that that character would do, or what would happen in the story. It gives you a lot of options, even though it is technically limiting with a constraint.
Some things that I would tell dancers to focus on a routine is know the direction that you're going to take it and the idea behind it all. It's the ultimate hook that will set the tone for the audience and how well they're going to be connected with that routine and that performance. So is it going to be a feeling, a story, a message? All of that is super important to consider.
Alright, what do I look for when I'm judging? So, I guess because I mentioned dance comps and I mentioned floor wars, I mean I can kind of talk about both. For dance comps, what I look for when I judge, so my biggest thing for sure, hands down, is you are actually following the music. Like, there's sort of a buzzword in the furry fandom when it comes to dancing about musicality. You know, people scratch that off their bingo cards all the time. But musicality is something that, you know, if you're not dancing to the music, what are you dancing to? You know, plain and simple, you gotta make sure that, you know, you're communicating your movement through the music to the crowd. That's why you have music when you dance. You're not just doing, you know, a random 6-step to nothing and expecting people to understand what you're trying to do. So in this case, musicality is by far my biggest criteria, and musicality comes in different forms, whether it's your body moving to the flow of the music, like let's say if you're doing a really slow song and you're just like waving really slowly, or if you're, you know, doing a really hype song and, you know, you're rocking to it and you're showing a party groove and your shuffling is on point, for example, then, you know, those are examples of good musicality. But, you know, if you're just wilding out to some R&B and you act like you've got like a hornet on you or something, then I'm sorry, that's pretty much a no for me. For floor wars, on the other hand, my biggest criteria for floor wars is kind of split between two things. The first is definitely execution. So being able to execute what you're doing with purpose and with practice as well. So what I mean by that is if you're trying a move and you clearly haven't practiced it, or you're doing the move and it makes absolutely no sense in the context of your dance, I mean, there's really no point in throwing out a move just for the sake of throwing out a move, right? Like, yay, someone did a backflip. Great. Did it really make sense? Did he do it well? I don't know. And then the second thing is response. So this is something that's a little bit more tricky to master, especially because it takes years and years of experience to be able to build up the proper knowledge and attitude of how to respond in a battle. But response in floor wars is a huge component of battling as well. You're battling the other person. You're having a conversation on the floor using your moves, right? It's the same thing as you having a conversation with the crowd during the dance comp. So having good responses and knowing when to respond, not just responding to each and every single thing, but knowing exactly what you can respond to and creative ways to do that response, that's definitely a huge part of my judging.
So when I'm judging, depending on what style I'm seeing someone perform, I try to keep in mind what the quote-unquote proper technique for that style would look like. Whether movements are beginning or ending with the rhythm of the song, how the emotional conveyance between the movements and the song are going, and then also the complexity of what someone's doing.
So things that I look for as a judge have to be, the number one thing is foundation, and the second thing is musicality, or choreography if it's a dance competition. The others are cleanliness, dynamics, and technique. If you consider those things, you're well on your way to getting good scores from me.
How do I get over my nerves before performing? This is a really, really good one because I'll tell you honestly, I've been on the stage for many years now. A lot of you have probably seen me on stage, whether as an MC or in dance competitions. I honestly had the biggest nerves in the past. I mean, I think for me, I just had to just go out there and do it. You know, there was a part of me that would be like, oh, you're not ready. Oh, this is gonna suck. You're not gonna be able to hit everything you want to do. But you know what, there's also another point where you just gotta say, screw it, I don't care whether I do well or not. I don't care if, you know, I'm able to hit 100% of my routine, if I'm able to hit 90%, 80%, I'm just gonna go out there and do it because, you know, the most that would happen is I slip up, but I learn from it and I recover. And some people think that, you know, when they make that one mistake, that it's all over, you know, their perfect routine is done. They can't possibly continue. I mean, I really wish I could tell these people, you know, if that's you, I wish I could tell you right now that it's not all over, you know. If you make one mistake, that's okay. That's perfectly okay. You know, we're not here to judge you on the one mistake. We're here to judge you on, you know, basically the entirety of the piece. And one small mistake is not going to make the entire routine, like, blow up. So, you know, people that are nervous about being perfect on the stage or, you know, even just putting on a good performance, like, just don't hold yourself to that perfect standard because no one hits it, you know, not even the pros. I've been doing dance comps in the fandom for 9 years now, and I've definitely never had a perfect performance. I can go back to every single one of my dance comps, you know, close to 20 of them so far, and I can point out at least one mistake that I made that I wish I could have done better. But you know what? That's life, you know, it's a journey. You gotta be able to really just take things with, you know, a chip on your shoulder and just roll with it, right? Just whatever happens, go out there, have fun, represent yourself, and don't care what, you know, what the judges think, what anyone else thinks. Because at the end of the day, the dance is yours. So, do you want to be happy with your dance, or are you going to mope and sulk about it, right? So, it's a little bit more of a tough love approach that I have, but I find that honestly, you are the master of your own fate in terms of being able to, you know, really put yourself on the stage, put yourself out there as a dancer, and I really hope that, you know, many of you can do that, you know, so.
In most cases for nerves, I honestly don't get over that. The few strategies I have are something I got from Lazy Does. Number one, get someone to slap your back really hard, just like ask someone to like, wow, right in your back. Not for like painful purposes, but it'll like jolt you back into the present. It really like clears up some of the butterflies and helps you feel a little bit better. It's kind of like a sports thing, I think. A lot of football players do it. And then two, another way to get rid of nerves might be to distract yourself. So use earbuds and rehearse your performance backstage, or like hang out with the other dancers backstage and just enjoy the performances if there's like a screen to show them. Just do something to take your mind off of the fact that you're about to go up there. Because if you like keep circling through that, it can really make that nervousness expand, and you want to try to keep that down. Yeah, I know that once you get in there, you'll have a good time, it'll be fun, and once you start doing something, like the nerves instantly start to clear away. It's always good.
How do I get over my nerves before dance competition? Oh gosh. I don't think I ever get over my nerves. And that's the thing, like no matter how experienced of a dancer you are, you're always going to be nervous before a performance or a big event. I think it's how you deal with that in your own way, because it could be different from it could be different for everybody. So for me, I take deep breaths, know that like this is just like another practice. I've trained for it, like I've done it over and over again. I know this routine by heart, you know, and I'm just going to go out there and kill it one final time. And I use that as a way to focus and have fun with it, you know. That's the thing about nerves, it's only for a moment, but that's part of like the thrill. That's, you know, you can't have a thrill without the scariest moment, the thrilling moment, the anticipation, and then when it's done, it's like, wow, I feel accomplished, I did that. So know that like everyone's always going to be nervous. It doesn't matter who you are, it's just how you deal with it. So take deep breaths, go out there, and you're going to kill it.
And then Ferrani talks about
So, forming the group Last for One. So some of you guys might know I'm one of the founders of Last for One, the fandom's first and original dance crew. So we span across all of North America. We've got people up in Canada as well, such as myself and Blue. And basically we host and help to run events at some of the biggest conventions in the furry fandom. So forming that it kind of just came to be where I was in the fandom for maybe a couple of years at this point. It was back in 2011, and I'd gotten together with Atsu and Mosey Otter. Some of you guys back in the day might remember Mosey Otter. And us three basically were just sitting around and we were like sharing ideas and sharing our inspirations. We were young, we were hungry, we had that fire to do something cool and crazy. And I said, yo, let's make a dance group. So Atsu was on board with it, Mosey was on board with it, and then later, we started getting more people on board. So we reached out to guys like Doryu, to like Four, to Quick, to Blue, to Flipsta, to Remix. And we got, a whole bunch of people on board with us for Last for One. And then later on, Fufu also joined as well. So, we've got a pretty good group of, I think, 9 people right now for Last for One. And, it just became, all of us just being really supportive of the events that we run and trying to foster a community. So some of you might know that Last for One is the crew that invented Floor Wars in the fandom. So myself and my crew, we brought Floor Wars to AnthrocOn 2012, and it was in a tiny little panel room that's in the middle of nowhere, and we had like 12 or 13 contestants, not even enough for a top 16. And we could have never imagined that the fandom would receive that kind of new, that new era so welcomely. So now you see Floor Wars at almost every convention you go to, and it's a main event. There's no question about it. Yeah, so that's pretty much most of what I'd say for Last for One. Anyways, I've been talking way too much. Hopefully everything that I've said has somewhat made sense. I have no idea if it did, but, hopefully it did. And if you have any questions, feel free to hit me up. Ronnie Noodles on Twitter, just at Ronnie Noodles, all one word. So feel free to chat and all that. So thanks, Slade, for putting this together, for the Aquatifur panel and all that. I hope all of you have at least gotten some insights, and remember, have fun.
Yay. So, I apologize that was so long, but it was really hard to cut anything out. They all had really good things to say. So, for the rest of the panel, I want to open it up to a Q&A. So once again, I'm Slade. I do hip-hop and some contemporary.
And I'm Kai. I do hip hop, EDM. I'm all over the place, literally. So, yeah.
I'm Addie, and yeah, I do a pretty big variety. Whatever music I think sounds cool, I'm I think I can make a dance to that, whatever it is.
So if any of you guys have questions?
Any questions?
It's open now.
Y'all want to learn, you better ask some questions.
It can be even stupid, what's your favorite color?
Anything.
Yep, take her.
So what are some of the stretches that you guys normally do to warm up for dance comps?
Good one. Well, what stretches do you do?
Oh, very good question. Very good question. Well, stretches. A lot of these. It definitely helps because you're going to use a lot of arms. In Fursuit, you're going to exaggerate your movements. So it's very important, especially with the legs as well. What about you guys?
If you had come to my Fursuit yoga panel,
Yeah.
I do lots of similar stretches actually with the arms, rotating.
Yeah.
I like to also focus on the back, making sure that it's ready to bend in any position because I do a lot of back bends in my routines. I also want to do some leg stuff, so sit on the ground, lay down, stretch, touch your toes, that kind of stuff. All that good stuff. That helps a lot.
See, I'm notorious for getting leg cramps or foot cramps and stuff, so a lot of the toe touching. And when you do stretching, make sure that you're only doing 2-second holds with each stretch. If you stretch too much and you just hold it, that's going to cause way more pain than before. So make sure you're doing it within moderation, taking your time, because that overall your body will start to loosen up more on its own through stuff like that. So. Any more questions?
Any more?
Yeah.
What are your favorite colors?
One more time.
What are your favorite colors?
Our favorite colors. Well, you can tell here, I'm pretty obvious. I love blue.
If I had my suit's literally all blue, but a little yellow.
Yeah. Surprisingly, the suit that I'm known for does not have my favorite color on it, and that is purple.
Oh, wow.
Me too.
Purple's a great color. Like all my other suits have purple except for Slade.
Any more, guys?
What's your favorite dance that you've done?
Favorite dance that we've done? Let's see. Oh man, let's see here. That's a tough one.
Dance con that we've done?
Like any dance or a dance competition? Anything? Okay.
Oh, I mean, I just started doing fursuit dance comps like last year. So I haven't been doing it very long. I've only competed like 2 times. The one I did at First Squared, which is a very small convention like around here in Wisconsin. Yeah, oh my gosh,
I
it's so
love
much
First
fun.
Square.
But yeah, I really liked that one. I did Anthrocon as well, but I think the nerves got to me because it was a much bigger crowd. I'd never done something like that, so I was a lot more like stiff than I usually am. So yeah, I'd have to say First Squared.
Anthrocon is such a scary con
Oh
to
my
dance
God.
I've never done AC yet, so
Oh
I really
my
haven't
God.
done that. One day.
That's the one I threw my head off the stage, and everyone knows me only for that. They're like, "You're the one who threw the head off the stage." I'm like, "Yeah, that's me."
So for me, it's either between, well, FC, Physical Confusion, or BLC, Bigger Slow for a Con. FC, so that was my first dance competition ever, was at FC, Physical Confusion. Actually, a lot of my dances there I actually really liked and enjoyed. I'd say, gosh, let's see, 2015 to 2017 were probably my prime, like my favorites. BLC, I'd say 2017 was my favorite one. But anyways, so, gosh, it's really hard to pick one. Because they're all different, unique.
They're all good in their own way.
They're all good in their ways, yeah, so. Yeah.
Anything else? Oh, yep.
So how do you go about like putting moves to music, like choreography? Because that's the part that I always struggle with. I don't know what will look good compared to what you do with that.
Choreography.
Choreography, timing, and moves. Yeah, that's a very good question.
Yeah.
So how do you guys do it first?
Okay, I watch a lot of dance videos alongside like doing dance, and sometimes I'll be watching and they'll do something, I'm like, yeah, I want to be able to do that too. And I think the more you listen to your songs, the more you're like, ooh, like you can incorporate that. What I always suggest is make sure you're picking music you can dance to. Just because you like a song doesn't mean that you're necessarily able to dance well to it. So if you're listening to a song and it's just like, it kind of hits you like, ooh, I could do this for this part, and you can start putting together a routine, then do it. Always pick what will work best rather than always what sounds best to you. It's all about, you know, coordinating with both.
Usually what helps me a lot is especially if I'm trying to replicate a style, I like to look up like dances in that style. You will look up like, oh, my song's like this, or even my song is this, and you can look up dance groups that have done different routines to those, and you go, oh, that's how they approached it. I did that with Toxic. That was a great one to look up.
Toxic.
I'm still waiting for one actually. But yeah, that's the best way to really find variety of moves, because I struggle with that too. Like, I'm trying to write something completely original, and then I'm like, I'm stuck. So
One thing that helps too is using a mirror. If you get a mirror and watch yourself dance, it really does help. Because you can see what you're doing. And another thing is counting. Count 1, 2, 3, 4. Or some of them are at 8 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. Like, they're all different. If you listen to the song closely, you can hear the counts like away in your head. 1, 2, 1, 2. And so 1, 2, 1, 2. Like, it does help counting, I think, and kind of figuring the moves from that and there. But yeah, YouTube also has a lot of tutorials and like can help you through that. So yeah, that's my advice, I'd say.
any other questions?
Any other
We can probably take
questions?
2 more before the panel's over.
Anything?
We got one back here.
What kind of material do you want for your foot pots and even hand pots so you like grip the floor?
Material do you want?
Every convention is different. Like, this is a very smooth floor.
Okay,
Sometimes it's carpet. Like,
I do have a little tip I just discovered. So this kind of floor especially. So there's people who have happy feet, they call it. They're like these shoes. Or even like other material, like Fursuit pods are really slippery. Like people slip on the floor, you've seen that, right? So like what do you do? Actually, this works. Put duct tape on the bottom of the feet. it sticks. Again, not like the sticky side like on this floor, but like if you just tape it on the foot, it actually does not slip. I discovered that just like a year ago and it works. So yes, that's one tip.
Okay, cool. I usually like to do outdoor feet. When I make my own suits, I use, you know those play mats that are like puzzle pieces?
Yeah.
I use the rougher side on the bottom, and usually those work pretty well.
Yeah.
I've not really had slipping issues personally.
It just depends on the material.
It's like made my routines. I'm like, oh, I gotta be more careful. Like you can't do certain moves and stuff. But yeah, it definitely helps knowing what surface you're going to be dancing on ahead of time. The smaller conventions will usually.
I suggest ahead of time, check it out first.
Like at prelims, I'll like scoot around on the floor to see how I'm gonna be able to move and that kind of stuff. So.
All right, one more quick question.
One more question?
I thought I saw someone's.
Don't make us end it early.
I have one question for you guys. Will I see you at the dance comp at 7 tonight?
Yeah, guys!
That didn't sound very enthusiastic.
There we go. All right. Well, yeah, that's at 7 p.m. tonight, and it's gonna be hype. So, woo! Get pumped! Get pumped!
Is this a quick question?
Yeah, who's judging?
Who's judging? I am. You are.
I am. I'll be a judge.
I don't know if we have another.
Is it just
really? No one will tell me things.
I don't know. Usually there's 3 judges.
Surprise.
So
There should be 3 judges.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming out. We really appreciate it. It was a lot of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed the dance competition.
Make sure you go practice now.
Go practice. Practice.
Watch Addie
Take
kill
it to
it.
heart.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
And get ready for the dances tonight too. So. Woo. Thank you.
I will be in the dance comp.
Yeah.
Just found out now. I guess I am.
Yay!
Yeah, I trust you. No one got picked out. They had someone drop anyway.
Thank you. I have to go to dinner now.
Oh, is it? I guess. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm gonna follow you.
Are you okay? Yeah.
I'm gonna. Can I just unplug this? Like cold turkey.
Silver Gattoman, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gattoman, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gattoman, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.